welcome back, folks, or hello if you're joining us for the first time this evening. It's going to be the Overwatch All-Star Trials Season 2 Finals week, so this is the important matches for most of these people. My name is Gut Moxie. I will be joined today by the wonderful Sir Waltham, who will be my faithful play-by-play. Hey, Sir Waltham, what are you looking forward to in this match today?
Well, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, Mox, and we were talking about how, like, in this bracket, there's a lot of teams are really close in score, and it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of shakes up. See if maybe some upsets can come through because of some of these scorings.
There is just a little bit of a disparity. We cast our eye over the current scoreboard. It's looking just a little bit uneven towards the way of Love Shack Gaming, who are out way ahead in the lead of everyone save the one team of Capybaras. 93 points that they've managed to rack up throughout this season, whereas on the other side we've got Not Critical Mass, who are just lagging a little bit behind, unfortunately, on that. I do believe it is the 43 points. So these guys, they're going to be trying to pull it back, and Love Shack Gaming, they're going to be looking to increase this lead that they have on Capybaras.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a 1-point lead before either of these games between Love Shack Gaming and Not Critical Mass go down, or Capybara's game, which is going to be taking place simultaneously. So really, it's going to be a close one. I think Love Shack, as you mentioned, solidify that lead as much as possible. Capybara looking to throw some points on their board in their games, no doubt, but I think this is going to be the one to tell.
Well, if you're Love Shack Gaming, then so much is riding on this that you can't really afford to go for anything that's has a little bit of doubt behind it. So I'm expecting to see a full rigidity of sticking with this double shield meta that is unfortunately dominating the current Overwatch scene, at least until this Tuesday patch hits. This Orisa, this Sigma, this Doomfist, this Reaper, it's so viable, it's so destructive, and it's so terrifying to run into if you're not fully prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. These teams, I don't expect to have the most attentiveness to paying attention to, what's coming up on the PTR patch or what might be, on the horizon. I think that they might just be sticking to a little bit more of what works and what they've been practiced with. That being said, that doesn't mean we're going to see some bad games. I think that both teams are going to be trying to put their foot forward. I think Not Critical Mass would kind of love to be a little bit of the spoiler here if they manage to prevent Love Shack from getting as many points and costing them the lead.
They're definitely going to be looking to be that spanner in the works. Nobody wants to go into an Overwatch match expecting to see the defeat screen scrolled across. So who knows? Everyone likes to see the underdog, and you know that you don't really have as much to lose. So maybe we see these wild, wacky combinations, and Ilios is certainly one of those where you can run these really strange things that no one's really prepared to go into. We've seen the Hammond in the first series today finding so much value with those mines and shutting down all of the space on point. Whether or not we'll be seeing him rolling around at the speed of sound again, well, that remains to be seen. But if you don't have as much riding on it, maybe you're just going to be a little bit more open to deviating, to sliding away from this Orisa Sigma, which we're probably definitely gonna be. I mean, I would say gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm not gonna say my casting crit, nor am I going to promise to eat my microphone, because
that'll give you some bad indigestion.
I have learned. No, I'm gonna say if I don't see an Orisa Sigma coming out on the side of Love Shack within this first match, then or Orisa Roadhog, because that's still one of those viable ones if it's well, then me being a support main, I will play Widowmaker and only Widowmaker for the next week of my Overwatch experience.
Don't queue comp into my comp games, please. If that turns out to be the case, do not
just look at the gun and be like, what's the scope?
We're gonna call it the Mox shot moving forward. But anyway, that being said, we are going to be going on to Ilios. And last time, about 2 hours ago when we were on Ilios, unfortunately we didn't get to see Ruins. And I'm hoping we kind of make that up here. I'd love to see if the teams decide that Widow a little bit more viable, and therefore it's something that we're going to be seeing take a whirl a little bit more often than not.
Well, Widowmaker can be one of those really effective DPS if you're expecting to run afoul of a Pharah.
Mhm.
She has all of this nice line of sight, and not only that, but if it's ruins, you have to commit so much to making sure that she's taken out of the equation. Because the Widowmaker, she's just going to be holed up behind the point on the high ground, has such a nice sight line, and you've got a wall blocking her. You're going to have to commit someone, either the pharmacy, or if you're running dive, the whole shebang, the Winston and the Diva, to go and annoy the spider sniper into picking up that rifle and relocating to another spot. And that means that point is then free to get that much more of a contest for your team, because Widowmaker, she doesn't just open up opportunities by finding the shots, but also by creating space. And so I know a couple of people who argue, much as Symmetra was moved from support to DPS, that Widowmaker should be moved from damage to tank.
All right, we're getting a little bit into the conspiracy theory zone here with all of this. It's interesting. I mean, like, I definitely don't agree that Widow creates like a zone of threat where you have to be very careful of where you're playing versus where she's playing. And do you have a shield? No. Well, then there goes half of your face. But I don't think she poses enough of a threat to really consider her a tank. I mean, I'm just gonna put that out there. That being
Every
said,
Widow main just comes into the comments and floods it with, what are you talking about? Of course she is. See, in my eyes, definition of a good Widowmaker is that ability to put the fear of that one-shot headshot into the opposing team. If you can manage to land your shots, and we see it in ladder games as well, people don't complain about Widowmakers and people who pick Widowmakers if they can secure a kill within that first 20 seconds. That's all that counts. That's all that people look at, that first kill feed in 20 seconds. If you make the pick, you're a god. If you don't, you're throwing. There's no in between.
Yeah, the one phrase that tank and supports hate to hear when you're on King's Row is, "Don't worry, if I don't get a kill in the first life, I'll switch." And then they never die, so they never switch.
Oh,
truly
shudders.
terrible. Yeah.
Shudders running down my spine just at the thought. Well, it's going to be one of those that we'll see if it's going to be ruins, because in that last series, we didn't even get to see the light of ruins, so we might just be thrown straight back into the lighthouse, in which case it's definitely going to be a pharmacy. It's one of those DPS that finds so much value. That point, I swear, is set up perfectly for barrages. If you remember, there is a drop-down spot that you can boost up to with your Pharah, and you can just drop down onto the point, and if the enemy aren't expecting it, or if they don't have a support ultimate to drop in as soon as that damage comes in, then oofed, that one's gonna get a little bit dicey pretty quickly.
Yeah, then it definitely will start raining indoors, but not just, standard rain. The pain as well as justice will be flowing in to the lighthouse. But before we get going here, which as we see the teams getting ready, our producer going over all the rules and standard terms of service and what have you, I want to remind you guys, if you see anybody popping off, don't forget to throw a vote in that Twitch chat below and to the bottom right, if I'm not mistaken, so you can let us know who you think is doing a great job, and let us know who you think we should be talking about more, because I always can use an easy target to talk about.
See, I'm a support main, so just a little bit biased. But who knows? Maybe I'm gonna be a Widowmaker main.
It might happen.
So I'm gonna be looking for tips and tricks if anyone decides to run that one. If anyone has got any ideas on how to even begin to play Widowmaker, then please do hit me up, because I think I've gotten as far as trying to put on stilettos and then falling flat on my face. So I don't think I would manage to pull the heels off, but hey, miracles can happen.
I've heard that the two words that help Widowmakers most is click heads. As a tank main, that means literally nothing to me, so we're going to find out. But it looks like we're finally ready to get into Ilios as we see whether this wager is going to come to fruition or not.
Well, it's Lighthouse, so I don't have to worry about it, because it was Ruins. So, I can dodge straight past it if Ruins doesn't even come up onto the board. And what's not currently going to be coming up onto the board is Polo, who I do believe was actually not a disconnect, was just going to be a spectator who's going to be getting a little bit of the boot. So we're going to be seeing Lighthouse, and it's going to be a definite that we're going to be seeing Pharmacy. Once you get control of that point, yes, it can be hard for Pharahs to be able to play around all of this high ground area safely, but you find all of the value in controlling how fights begin and more importantly, where the enemy's tanks are. Because if you get those concussive blasts off, an Orisa that was safely in the middle of her team is suddenly in the middle of yours, and that is not a safe place to be at all.
Yeah, just having to use that fortify. If you think you see a concussion rocket moving towards you, it's a risky gambit as an Orisa, but at least at the get-go on the side of not critical mass, it looks like they're not going to be opting for that far. At least Water and Dark are going to be opting for a little bit more of the punchy DPS and the shotgunny DPS.
Yeah, and ends up opting for that first Symmetra teleport to make sure that the team get out of the way. So they will be managing to get onto this point so much faster, which will allow for them to set up. And no, they're sticking with the Symmetra. It's not just a teleport. They're going to be putting the turrets on point. Oh, this is going to be so painful to walk into.
Yeah, Love Shack going to be setting up in that shack, definitely trying to put as much damage in as possible. As well, the Sim going to be breaking down the barriers like the Berlin Wall in this situation. Water taking down the Sim, but at the cost of their own life. And right now it's a brawl. Both teams fighting one DPS down. Those Sim turrets still up. At least they were doing a little bit of damage. And right now the kill's not really coming through from either side, both playing around the shields. And right now the Reaper getting sectioned off cannot quite escape, but the Orisa rotating to help them out. And Devtron actually gonna get the boop onto Black Knight. That is a crucial advantage coming through from Love Shack. And right now, Not Critical Mass are having just such a tough time getting some kills to come through here, but they're going to be popping the Coalescence to help bring themselves up. Boopdoll trying to survive being frozen, not going to be successful though in that situation, and ends up having enough time to come back in and get some turrets set up on point so they can get the point captured.
That was the longest time in Overwatch that I've ever seen a point not be captured. Oh, Love Shack Gaming, if they'd managed to get that actual proper 100% hold up and not allowing the team of Not Critical Mass to set up, they would have had so much point on the percentage right now. But they are going to have so many ultimates in the bank for when they come and knocking Coalescence and Blizzard and Flux. With Bolan not being able to really have that Sign Barrier online means that there's no way to negate that damage coming in.
Yeah, Water going to have this Meteor Strike. Doesn't quite look like they're going to initiate with it yet. The Flux coming in from Xerxes God doesn't find anything with the Grab Flux. In fact, it's going to be whiffed. And now it's going to be the Moira coming in with the Coalescence, trying to keep somebody up. But Donnie getting punched into the wall. And despite the Sim Shield coming up, it doesn't look like it's going to quite be enough for Love Shack. They are taking the hurt in more ways than one right now. The stall trying to come out the May. Not going to be enough as Water punches them in the face out of the game.
Oh, I would have loved to see a Blizzard be the initiator for that fight. Ashes Bay having that one up and Bolan not having the soundbar would definitely have tipped things in the favor of Love Shack Gaming, but they will have that one for this next contest, so they will be coming in with that. But now, if you look, Bolan does have that support ultimate online, and Black Knight with the Flux pops it straight away, and Defron not going to be able to build the damage out.
Yeah, and in fact, the Moira going to be taking down Donnie K, not able to get any healing. Black Knight just frozen in place, going to be taking a bunch of bullets to the face. And with this Love Shack, looking to bring the pain once again. The contest going to be coming out from Steve on this Moira, but it's not going to be enough as the point flips once again to Love Shack.
So aggressive, even if they're caught up in a flux, which really should be the signal for a quick retreat, but no, they throw ultimates in and they get it on their side, and now they've got superchargers, and Weapon Tech can put the superchargers in out of line of sight, whereas Poop Dollar is going to have to place them really carefully if he doesn't want them to be taken out of this fight early, so Love Shack Gaming should have the advantage for that ultimate.
Yeah, and Poop Dollar taking actually a rock to the face, you know, shocking that Orisa back into the action, but the team's going to rotate here using the Sigma Shield before they place down the Orisa barrier. And it looks like the Supercharger going to be coming out from Weapon Tech, but it gets taken down by Dark rather quickly. Dark then falling for themselves. The Sigma Gravlux coming in now from Xerxes God. Not going to be claiming any kills, but it will set up for a couple kills followed up on by the members of the Love Shack. It will just be this May trying to hold out 90% left on the clock.
Coalescence just provides so much sustainability for a team. It really is a double-edged sword, healing and damage on both of your sides. So Love Shack Gaming, they just have that much more sustainability. And talking of sustainability, Devtron has the Soundbar, and they're not even going to need to use it. Not Critical Master's not quite able to get that critical contest.
Yeah, Bowline and Dark were both making their way to the point. It just was not quite enough. As we saw, I believe it was Dark teleported up on top, but he wasn't able to drop down and into the point as quickly as you might like, especially in that situation.
Well, we're headed off to WoW, so unless Not Critical Mass managed to tie this up one apiece, we're not going to be seeing Rose, which means my career as a support main is safe. Enseth on this McCree and Ashes Bay on this Hanzo says to me that Love Shack Gaming predict this pharmacy that water is gonna be on. Bowline on this Lucio probably just gonna immediately swap off, allow the team to get that initial speed boost. But yeah, there we go. And Baller Steve gonna be going onto the Batiste, trying to put in the support that they're gonna be missing out with that Mercy being the tail for water up in the air.
And not the worst idea, not a lot of concussion capabilities here, or a lot of boot potential, as it's sometimes known in the circles, to come through from this composition, but you still do have the Roadhog. Water taking down Donnie K early is very crucial, meaning that Moira's not going to be able to build up that coalescence, and as we can see, Water trying to take these tighter angles to get that damage put in so they can get the Rocket Barrage online as quick as possible, taking down Enzaf. Baller Steve actually getting some kills on his Xerxes God. The kills all coming in favor for Not Critical Mass. They want to take it to Ruins.
Water should not be getting the amount of value that they're getting at the moment. 78% to Barrage in the first engagement, and with 2 Pharah counters on pod. That should not be happening, and Enzaf is going to be looking to shut that one down immediately with the swap onto Widowmaker, looking for the Pharah, but Water playing so nice, so safely, taking all of these nice low angles to make sure that they're out of that crosshairs.
Yeah, and it forced the swap to come through from Enzaf, meaning it's gonna be a little bit behind on the ultimates coming in, but as the fight breaks in, the hook's trying to come in, but Black Knight not quite able to land, not able to connect onto anything. Water taken down by Ash is Bay. It's going to be crucial. The Mercy not going to be opting to res. It is going to be rezzing Poop Dollar, however. Ends up taking down the Immortality Field, and Donnie so low. The Orisa Halt coming in doesn't grab anything right now. They need to start claiming it back if the side of Not Critical Mask wants to claim it, and Dark going to be working their best to do that. Ash's Bay going to be taking them down, but not after 2 kills, and in fact Black Knight then following up on the kill of Weapon Tech, the main tech, and the Halt almost saving the Hanzo from the well. Not going to quite be the case though, as despite a few losses, Not Critical Mass holding.
Yeah, they didn't even allow that point to get flipped, so for all of that fight, they managed to keep control of it, allowing that percentage to build up. And now Water has this Barrage, and Baller Steve has this Batiste amplification that's going to be dropped straight in front of the Pharah. And poor Love Shack Gaming, Deftron just has not been able to build the Sun Barrier up in time to be able to get that damage negated.
Yeah, the window coming out from the side of Killer Steve, the Halt coming in, but Donnie K getting taken down by an amplified rocket from Water. Now the fight is looking pretty even, a little bit more favor towards the side of Love Shack Gaming, and right now they're coming in with the kills, although the Pharah trying to claim back, Ash's Bay taking them out of the sky. 2 snipers ought to be enough to take out that Pharah, and in fact it is.
That really late Barrage, I really hope is going to signal Water's swapping. But no, they're gonna be sticking with the pharmacy. So no, there we go. Swap onto the Doomfist. So the Barrage would not have been something that they would have had for this next engagement, so it's fine to just throw it away. Dark has got this Deadeye, and that's gonna be what they're looking to open things up with. However, you're gonna be trying to land it into 2 shields. So Love Shack Gaming, they're gonna have all of the advantage in the world to be able to just step out of the way of that one.
It certainly will, and we're gonna hear it open with that Deadeye. And gonna be fighting both the snipers as you need as that McCree. That means no supports or no DPS gonna be on the game. Water and Dark both getting taken out though. This is a tank and support battle here. And the window going to be dropped by the Batiste, played by Baller Steve right now. And they are trying their best. The sound barrier in response. And Bowline trying to get something around the well, not quite able to find it. The environmental kills coming in now for the side of Love Shack, and in fact it's looking like it's going to pay off dividends for them, as Dark trying to claim back, not going to be able to do much as a lone McCree, but the Doomfist is going to come in to help them out. Water cleaning up the opposing McCree, and right now it's just looking so sketchy for both of these teams, but Love Shack still in firm control, and in fact are going to clean up Dark.
And they're looking to just keep on holding this point, because Weapon Tech has got the supercharges, and yes, they don't really have ultimates to combine it with, but supercharges is one of those where it enables the team to go aggressive and build up ultimates of their own. It resets the ultimate economy as a sort of way, kind of like an EMP in that ascent. And so you're now going to have Not Critical Mass trying to come in, but they're going to be really kind of tiptoeing around. They're wanting to pull the supercharges out in a place where they're able to disengage when it gets put down.
Yeah, a very large Halt. Water able to get the kill onto Donnie K. That's exactly what you want, but Water keeps trading for these supports, or keeps trading for these kills, rather, in this instance. And the flashbang going onto Ash's Bay, gonna be getting out of there in safety. Enzaf, in fact, gonna be the McCree taking down the kills. Ash's Bay following up with a kill onto Bowline. Things are not looking good for the side of Not Critical Mass. They had it in their hands, but it is slipping away from them. Nobody on the point except for the McCree, who gets cleaned up by a seismic slam from Ash's Bay. And with that point, gonna tick down just Water there to contest. Water getting taken down after claiming Donnie K once again. The sound barrier coming in just for a little bit more contest. Bowline able to claim back, but not enough, as Enzaf gets them in the bag. And with this, overtime ticks down. It goes to LoveShack 2-0 after a thrilling well game.
Yeah, and I will not be swapping onto the role of DPS for the next week of my games. Everyone will be glad to if you get queued up against me. And LoveShack Gaming, they really do hold on to that one after a little bit of a hiccup towards the start. Unfortunately for Not Critical Mass, LoveShack Gaming, they had so many ultimates that were just one of those anti-contest ults. You've got the Sigma Flux, which just lifts you off the point so you can't touch. You've got the Deadeye, which is one of those huge zoning ones. Yes, it doesn't really find value in this day and age of Overwatch and Shields, but it still dissuades people from going for that contest. And so Not Critical Mass, even if they had managed to get those staggers properly going, it would still have been a pretty tough challenge to be able to claw that point back into their favor.
Yeah, Not Critical Mass had some pretty good success at the first half of Well, but it just did not seem to quite carry them. Once they lost it, they were not able to just get it back, recompose themselves, but they always have the next map, which of course will be Hanamura. As we hop into it, team's going to be deciding sides here in just a moment. Mox, what do you expect to see? Honestly,
I think that we're going to be seeing a little bit of Symmetra. We've seen it, and it's one of those where you see it normally on Ilios just to allow teams to get out of the door and onto point faster. But they ran with it, LoveShack. They tried to set the Symmetra turrets up. And so if you're going for an aggressive take of Hanamura and you want to get it under your belt in the quickest time as possible, there is the sneaky cheeky teleporter strat that you can do. You can just plonk the teleporter down, have all of the team just negate that courtyard entirely and just pop up on point.
Yeah, a little bit of an older trick by now, but still one that can, somehow manage to catch teams off guard, especially effective if you have a Mei to block the team from contesting after you're already on point. So certainly some potential here. I think Mei is a pretty solid option, at least on the defending teams.
She's one of those where you can play her on either the attacking or the defending, but definitely the defending. Because you have that really annoying choke where it is every Overwatch developer just took a tape measure to the Mei wall and all of the choke gaps because they measure up perfectly. It is actually mind-boggling how well those two fit, and it makes crossing that courtyard an absolute minefield even without throwing a hamster into the mix. Because you have to have that Lucio there to have that speed boost, which then takes that amp off the table because you have to use it just to get your foot in through the door so it doesn't get frozen and handed back to you.
Yeah, frozen feet, something Lucio helps to avoid, but it doesn't help you when your entire team is kind of sectioned off with nowhere to back up to. That being said, though, it looks like, worth noting for those of you at home, LoveShack now going to be on the blue side, so they will be defending first off. I like LoveShack on the red. That's just because it's colorly appropriate.
Well, we've had in both series today colorly inappropriate. So like I said, opposite take continues, but Black Knight on this Hammond. I really hope that they run with this, because if there's one way to blindside they're going to be coming at us nice and slow, so get ready to wall up, it's just bowling yourself straight through that alley. But no, Black Knight will be swapping onto the Sigma, so yeah, you can still go for that separation tactic, and Ashes Bay is definitely going to be looking for that one, which means that Bowline has to get this speed boost absolutely perfectly timed.
Yeah, and Enzaf setting up way behind, early up, trying to claim the life of Baller Steve, and in fact claims it rather early before the Mei wall even drops. Ashes Bay similarly cleaning up Black Knight, but the point progress has already been given up, at least a tick for Not Critical Mass, but they're not going to win the fight, which means they won't get the remaining 2/3 that they need.
I really want to see Not Critical Mass swap, because Black Knight was just absolutely decimated by Ashes Bay. Everyone talks about those walls, but what no one really talks about is that the Mei primary fire, it's just a CC. It slows you down, and Sigma already slow just allows all of the team of Not Critical Mass to just... Not Critical Mass, no! LoveShack Gaming to jump onto Not Critical Mass, and Black Knight has just not really been able to do much at all with the Sigma pick.
Certainly, and we are seeing the side of Not Critical Mass trying to line up, trying to get ready to go through this main choke right now. They might be trying to find some damage, build up some ults. In fact, the Baptiste going to be coming in, the Mei wall dropping up high. Both the tanks going to be opting to go in despite not having their supports quite yet. The Immortality field going out, but nobody there to capitalize on it. And now the defensive team has fully backed up onto point. Very peculiar that we see that without any deaths occurring on the field, but Water going to cure that as Ash's Bay is going to drop. Donnie K claiming Water. Once again, it seems like Doomfist is always getting these trades back and forth for their own lives. The Orisa's kind of squaring off here, and it's just a slobber knocker of a fight on point right now. Dark going to be taking out Devtron, less healing for the defensive team, and the Immortality Field coming out for the offensive means that things are looking in a good spot for them, but the Sigma Grab Flux going to be coming in. The response from Bowline to keep everybody up. Enzaf, however, coming in with the Meteor Strike to ensure that this fight helps to be won, and Enzaf popping off in this situation, getting 3 kills, 3 different abilities, and with that, it's looked like it's not going to go in favor of Not Critical Mass.
Doomfist is still so viable, he's so mobile, and he really can just turn things around for team fights. Meteor Strike, it's not the most powerful ultimate, but combined with a well-timed Orisa ultimate, it's absolutely deadly. And you want to talk about ultimates at the moment, Weapon Tech has these supercharges, like they got taken out pretty early on Ilios, on Lighthouse, but now I really do want to see this Orisa position them smartly, which is either going to force Water to put in this Meteor Strike purely to take those down, or it's going to force all of Not Critical Mass to go aggressively.
And Dark is going to take down Ash's Bay rather quickly. That means that CC you were talking about earlier not going to be in effect. As soon as this May wall drops, they're going to go in on it. Water, however, taken down, going for the dive as the supercharger was laid. Perhaps not the best move for the Doomfist, as they will suffer for it. But Dark has that Death Blossom, might be looking to activate it. Is going to be popping it as they get uppercut, then followed up with the Sigma Grab Flux, taking down Devtron. Things are looking good for the offensive team, Not Critical Mass right now. Baller Steve even claiming a couple kills on with that Baptiste. Not too surprising considering that hit scan has so much power. And with that, the point ticks up for Not Critical Mass.
It's going to be a really hard ask for this team to be able to get this snowball because they're going to be dealing with a Blizzard. Ash's Bay has got that one ulti up, and so it's going to be down to Black Knight to get this eat, otherwise all of his team are just going to be chewed out because Bowline does not have this sign barrier up, which means Bowler Steve is going to be putting in that Immortality Field, and that its HP has been reduced, and so it's even easier to take out the fight now. It's an immovable object, it's so easy.
Yeah, and the Meteor Strike going to be coming out right away. Not going to be comboing with the Halt as the Ori does get taken out rather quickly. In fact, no kills coming in from the Doomfist Meteor Strike by Water. Does take out Devtron, though. It does not seem to be enough, though, as the kills coming in from the defensive side. Love Shack continuing to claim these kills. Water taking down Ash's Bay. Seems to have a grudge against that May, but not enough to keep themselves and their team alive quite yet. Though the teams are even, there is the defense respawn advantage.
But Not Critical Mass, you said it before, they seem to have this grudge against the May, and that's really good. They recognize the fact that there's a Blizzard on the other side, and at the moment they have nothing outside of Immortality Field and the Sigma Eat to be able to deal with it. And so that May is going to be target number 1, and that is absolutely the right approach for Not Critical Mass, because that Blizzard is currently Love Shack Gaming's win condition.
And Enzaf had to use that Meteor Strike just to escape. Going to be suffering quite a bit of health loss there. The Blizzard coming out onto Bowline and Black Knight going to be freezing both of them. Xerxes God going to be cleaning up Black Knight with that Grab Flux. The Doomfist on point right now, trying to get some progress, but there's 5 defensive members on point to help clear him off.
You got the Blizzard out, though. If you're Not Critical Mass, the silver linings, you lost that fight, and you've now got ultimates to come into this next one with that you know you're not going to have to worry about from the other side. The Blizzard is gone. That's off the table. That allows Bowline to be able to use this sound barrier to let the team go aggressively because you don't have to worry about putting it in to help people when the damage comes through. You're only going to have to worry about Donic on this Coalescence and Weapon Tech coming up to the superchargers, and they've been taken out pretty quickly before.
Yeah, now the rotation going to be coming in from the bottom floor this time around. The sound barrier and window going to be coming in. The kills coming in very aggressively for the side of Not Critical Mass. Water trying to claim some kills with any abilities they can find. Going to be using that Meteor Strike to claim in some big damage. No real combos coming in, though, with the Orisa halts quite yet. Water taking down Donnie K, and now it is just looking like cleanup for the side of Not Critical Mass. And they are enjoying this surplus of abilities right now. And we're seeing the Reaper Death Blossom, the Sigma Grab Flux right now. They are going to be getting some progress on this point as 2 ticks go on.
It's a little bit of easy pickings for Not Critical Mass at the moment because Love Shack Gaming, they're just trickling onto the point one by one, the budget Noah's Ark, and they will be taken out of the fight one by one.
In fact, it will be the case. The Reinhardt coming back onto the field, however, we will not be seeing any wild pins come in this time around. The Meteor Strike coming from Enzaf. Can they find any success with it? They need to, but they're not going to quite be able to. Water turns around, whips Enzaf into the wall, and with that, the second point's going to tick up. 45 seconds left on the clock.
It could have been worse if you were Love Shack Gaming. You lost point B Not quickly, but it was still one of those where Not Critical Mass had quite a stonker of a time bank to try and take point B in regards to Hanamura. So you did manage to get a pretty decent stagger going, but unfortunately, it required a miracle for you to be able to pull that one back. You'd lost too many people. The deaths, they were just too scattered, too fragmented. You would just be staggering in, and Not Critical Mass, they were one unit. They had everyone there. They had ultimates in their pocket to fall back onto. So they were just able to clean house as Love Shack Gaming tried to just manage to secure just a little bit more time in their pocket.
So now it will be on to Not Critical Mass to see if they can hold as well as their opponents, and if they can, oh, they might be in an.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see whether or not they're going to be fielding what it looks like they might be fielding. NZAF on this Symmetra, gonna be attempting that one, but Dark on this Bastion means that if you're Not Critical Mass, you've read this like an absolute book. You've known that they played it on Ilios. Hanamura A is one of those where that Symmetra teleport, you talked about it a little bit earlier, so often, it's so known now that teams surely they come into this expecting it, and so we'll no doubt see Not Critical Mass set up on this high ground, and then as soon as they scout out this Symmetra, just pull back to point, get that relocation going. Because yes, if you're Love Shack Gaming, you've got the teleporter, but at the end of the day, you still have to go on point to contest it.
Absolutely, and if that teleporter gets destroyed with only half your team teleports, it can be especially brutal. However, as we mentioned, Not Critical Mass going to be setting up on this Bastion and the Pharah to get that crossfire going. And the teleporter going to be going not directly on the point, but they're going to be taking the side route. But Baller Steve taking down Donnie K, a battle of the supports here where it proves that Not Critical Mass has the a little bit more dominant of a showing. And right now, Poop Dollar on this Orisa trying to stay alive will achieve that end with the help of Baller Steve's Immortality Field. Will get taken down by Weapon Tech, but Weapon Tech not going to be long for this world themselves. And it looks like despite the sim tricks, it's not going to pan out for the side of Love Shack Gaming.
And if you're Love Shack Gaming now, you have a really hard decision. Do you keep the Symmetra or do you swap off? Because you're not really finding value with it. Not Critical Mass, they've shown that they know how to deal with it. Just jump onto the people who don't make it for the teleporter, take the teleporter down as soon as it's put down. So you're gonna have to play smart if you want to stick with this sim. And they're going for the same teleport route, and that shield is immediately just fragmented.
Yeah, the shield was fragmented. The Mei already blew her ice wall, meaning that there's not going to be as much barriers on this point right now. The Ori going on to contest, but not as much backup this time around. Water taking down Devtron, meaning that Lucio not going to be able to build up that sound barrier. But that being said, the Donnie K going to be releasing the Kamehameha with that Coalescence. And right now, Poop Dollar trying their best to be the contest right now. The Bastion coming in with that tank configuration, trying to lay down some damage, but the Sim turrets tearing them apart. And it looks like, despite a rough first push, Love Shack going to get it the second time around.
There's a reason that Symmetra is known as a shield buster. You can charge your primary fire off your opponent's shields. And NZAF, fully charged Symmetra, truly terrifying thing. Poor Dark will have a harrowing experience being sent back to spawn. Water not gonna be long for this pharmacy, I'm sure. Hanamura Point B is one of those where it can be just a little bit harder. You've got that ceiling now that you don't have on A. They are gonna be sticking with it, no doubt, to try to get this concussive blast as Love Shack Gaming come through. But no, they don't scout out the teleporter. They don't go for the big play.
Yeah, but they need to be very careful here on the side of Not Critical Mass. NZAF so close to that sim barrier that it can prevent all that damage coming through from the Bastion. And right now they are taking a presence on point, but they are losing members slowly but surely. Water doing the massive chip damage that Pharah needs to take down those crucial targets. The Moira, the sim right now, they all seem to fall to these Pharah rockets. Devtron taking a few bullets to the chest, but courtesy of Dark. And with that, the defense will continue to hold strong.
But if you look at the ultimates that Love Shack Gaming have on their side, how long is that gonna be? They've got the Symmetra wall, which will entirely negate Water's barrage. Indeed, it might even end the Pharah's barrage with herself being in spawn. Ashes Bay has got this Blizzard. And Baller Steve, you're gonna have an Immortality Field to rely on, because Bowline on that Mercy trying to tail the Pharah means no sound barrier available. So if you can get a huge Blizzard with Weapon Tech pulling them all in, they should at least be some popsicles in that.
It certainly should be the case. They're going to be taking another low route here. The Pharah trying to build this damage up. and the wall going to be coming in and doing a pretty good bisect, but the Grab Flux doesn't really care about wall. It's going to be dropping everybody on the point. Enzaf taken down. That Barrier Buster is gone off the map. The Blizzard going to get dropped on point, but not really seeming to affect Black Knight, the only one standing on the point. And this Bastion not quite up anymore, as Dark going to be switching onto this Doomfist just for a little bit more stall. And we're hearing the Grab Flux come out once again. Poop Dollar getting sent right back onto all fours with that horse form. Dark taking down Donnie K, and Water claiming a couple lives. That is exactly what might have been needed here. And despite what was looking like a rough defense, it's going to be Reclamation coming through from Not Critical Mass.
Water just put the team onto their shoulders and carried them with that barrage was absolutely what they needed to turn the tide. And Enzaf is actually going to swap onto the McCree because they need to counter this Pharah. The Symmetra was out of the fight. That was so much of your damage done. But Love Shack Gaming, they keep putting in ultimates. They think that they can win it, and it just doesn't work out for them in the long run. And now they've shot themselves in the foot. The ultimates that they should have had for this next push, they're not going to be up, and they're going to have to worry about a supercharges that Poop Dollar is no doubt going to be plunking in as soon as they see the slightest shade of blue.
Yeah, Water continuing to play these angles with this Pharah, and it looks like the offensive team pushing very aggressively onto this high ground, dropping the defensive team onto point. Not Critical Mass going to be locating around that Bastion, tucked into the corner, making sure that he doesn't have to be in too much immediate threat. The Sound Barrier coming out, going to be landing onto all six. The Maywall coming up right in front of the Bastion, but it gets brought down rather quickly. And the kills going through very immediately for Love Shack as the Pharmacy combo does get taken down. This Lucio playing right above the Bastion. The Bastion gets brought up by the Maywall. And right now, we're seeing the Baptiste window come in, not able to claim any kills or deal a lot of healing. The point going up rather quickly. Baller Steve needs to try to get on there, but in fact, it will be Water accompanied by Bowline. They both get cleaned up rather quickly, though. Can Black Knight make it fast enough on this Hammond? It does not seem to quite be the case, but the Tracer's there to help them out. And as Black Knight crying to do their best stall impression right now, the High Noon coming out from Enzaf on this high ground, going to be just claiming those kills as soon as those shields drop. Doesn't claim anything off the back end of it, though. Some decent stall coming through from the defensive team, and this is exactly what they needed. Donnie Cage dropping with that Coalescence by a right click from Water. Water going to be dropping once again, going for those trades with the Doomfist. The Grab Flux coming in this time from the side of Xerxes God, who is so low, but he's not going to be able to be cleaned up. The Hammond coming in, gets bullied, gets frozen, gets hit with a rock, everything in the kitchen cabinet. 128 to 1 minute, but it eventually does go in favor of Love Shack.
That swap ends up to the McCree and off the Symmetra was absolutely key in securing Hanamura Point B for Love Shack Gaming, because he was just walloping damage on that high ground, not just the High Noon, but the normal bullets. So much, and Not Critical Mass, they were constantly contesting the point. They couldn't spare the resources to go out and deal with them, so that's one constant source of damage, which just was not able to be met with any answer. And so, yes, the McCree did eventually drop down onto point to be with the team, but all because of that, Not Critical Mass just were not able to get that foothold that they so desperately needed to really get that contest properly going.
Yeah, they really did lose that Pharmacy very early into that fight. One of the biggest game changers in that moment, the biggest fight changer, which, enabled them to capture that point after, I would say a rather long stall out from the side of Not Critical Mass. So I think that, there's some potential positivities to be seen on both sides. That being said, it will be Not Critical Mass on the attack first because they do have the lower time bank.
But these time banks are so similar. 1 minute 28 and 1 minute. So the only real difference is going to be scramble where teams try to get all of their resources together and actually find anything. But NSF on this Bastion, this is going to be an interesting one because they're set up on point, so they're expecting the Symmetra teleport to come in because that would definitely be the fastest way onto the point, but no, it's going to be Black Knight once again, Sigma and Water onto the Doomfist. The only problem is as soon as she tries to go up into one of those windows that Doomfist needs to use to get around, she's just going to be met with the Bastion bullets to her face.
Yeah, it looks like Water's going to actually be taking the swap, going onto the May. They want to choke down those lines of sight from the Bastion as much as possible.
It's a good idea, because Water would just be contributing battery to Enzaf's ultimate charge, but it's an idea that has wasted them time, and now they have 23 seconds, and they're just tiptoeing around. The Maywall is out, so that's one on cooldown. They have to move in now.
Yeah, Water going to be dropping the Maywell right in front of the Bastion, giving the team a little bit of a reprieve. The Sigma getting on the point by Black Knight, but he's going to be frozen, knocked down by a rock, and it is not looking great for the side of Not Critical Mass right now. Bowline, so lit, needs to be very careful around this. The Bastion trying to get frozen by that Mei, but it's not going to be so successful. And Water trying to just stall out with that Mei Ice Form and the Ice Wall coming out in quick fashion, but it's not enough. With no deaths, I believe, coming through from the side of Love Shack, they will see the overtime counter tick down with no progress being made by their opponents.
Not Critical Mass were able to launch one attack, and that was purely because of the swap that Water was forced to make. They misread their opponent. They didn't think that they were going to be going into a Bastion bunker. They tried to put the Doomfist in, and the time that it took the Doomfist to get back into spawn, to swap to the Mei, to get back into the combat, it didn't allow for the time that they so desperately needed. 1 minute in your bank, you're going to build ultimates at a push, but you really do need that engagement to be instant, and tiptoeing and dillying around that chokehold only allowed for Love Shack Gaming to just strengthen their defenses.
And it definitely didn't hurt that Love Shack just kind of bore their Bastion on their sleeve, putting him right in the middle of the point, saying, hey, this is what we have. Go back to spawn and change, waste 30 seconds, then come back and we'll start a real fight.
I mean, they're laughing because they have 30 seconds to spare. Well, they have 28 seconds to spare. And after seeing their opponents do so well, Not Critical Mass, they're going to answer with this Bastion in turn with Water on this pharmacy to make sure that if there is a Symmetra teleporter, surprise, you're all concussive blasted away from it, and then your teleporter is gone. It's a really nice play. However, if Love Shack Gaming were running a Bastion bunker of their own, that says to me that they'll probably know how to counter it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen NZAF be a little shaky on this sim, a little effective, a little shaky, so it's kind of a wild card play here as how this is going to pan out for them, but we're going to see the teams come out of spawn momentarily.
I mean, it's certainly going to be a coin flip, and if you're Love Shack Gaming, you are hoping to come up heads, but they are going to just be coming again for this courtyard, and the teleporter goes down, survives, all the team get through.
Yeah, all the team are going to be able to get onto point. There will be no opportunity for the side of Not Critical Mass to dilly-dally and not get immediately onto point. The Immortality Field coming out, but NZAF taking them down almost as quickly as it goes up, and with that, Hoop Dollar gets taken down. This is not great that Symmetra able to get so much damage in if given the opportunity, and in fact, it's just claiming heads in this situation. Ashes Bay is going to be taken down, but it does not seem to be enough for the defensive team. As they try as they might, it does not seem enough. Water going to be falling after taking down Devtron, and with that, the first tick is going to give way to the Love Shack.
That's what you needed if you have 1 minute 20 on the clock. You need your first push to be determined. You need to have that approach just be instant, snap decision. Everyone teleported down all the way through. Everyone on point, set up on point, get the Symmetra turrets up. Then Not Critical Mass, they have to walk into your defenses. They're going to be weakened. They're going to be easier to kill because of all of those turrets chunking away at their HP. And everyone knows, everyone's tried to walk into a burning hot microwave. No one enjoys it. It's not a good time for anyone.
Yeah, it's tough. If you give that sim even a moment of hesitation, which, to the credit, Love Shack was placing those teleporters in pretty good spots. They were placing them, tucked into the walls as much as possible, so they were taking as little damage as possible while still maintaining those lines that they needed to. If you keep those teleporters up for a second too long as the defense, the entire enemy team's going to get the positioning advantage, and that's exactly what we saw happen.
Well, they made it really hard to really get that Symmetra teleporter down because the Sigma shield as well was beautiful. So they saw the pharmacy, they thought, okay, maybe we're going to get concussive blasted away from it. So what Love Shack Gaming actually do is they have that Sigma shield not in front of the teleporter, but above it, very slightly slanted diagonally. So if the Pharah does try to land that concussive blast and push them all away from it, it doesn't happen. It just hits the shield. It's beautiful play and beautifully read.
Yeah, I absolutely could not agree more. And as we carry on now off the back of that thrilling Hanamura game, we will be going into Dorado with the teams maintaining their same sides. Love Shack going to be on the defense to start, Not Critical Mass on the attack. And do you think we'll see more Bastion shenanigans, Mox?
How, considering how successful Love Shack Gaming have been in not quite playing the Bastion, but countering it, if you're Not Critical Mass, you're definitely second guessing whether you want to run it or not. Whereas if you're Love Shack Gaming, you're sort of laughing because you've proved yourself superior in this Arista the Sigma matchup, which does mean that yes, there are opportunities to have a pirate ship with double shields and sails set sail. Whether or not we'll be seeing it in play, that is the question. It is one of those where you can find the same value as the Bastion with a Reaper and a Doomfist and be just a little bit harder to pin down, a little bit more mobility, a little bit more of that access to the enemy's back lines to get the supports down and then move in on the rest of the team. It's gonna be one of those where teams, they'll play what they're most comfortable with, especially with the tournament being into its final stages. You're not really gonna be experimenting at this point.
Yeah, Love Shack already in a considerable spot, especially not Critical Mass kind of out of the running of being towards the top 3. So both are probably going to try to be locking into that comfortable groove. I definitely agree here. I think Love Shack kind of laid a good foundation for themselves when being 2 maps up. And that being said, you know, I still kind of do hope for the Bastion. I know it's cheesy. I know it's hard to narrate, but I don't know. I feel like we haven't seen it in a while. Take me back to old school Junkertown.
I mean, we all like it, some extra cheese on our fries. So, unfortunately, though, the order, it's not going to be placed quite just yet. Water on the Doomfist, Dark on the Hanzo. So they are still opting for these pretty mobile heroes, but Dark and Enzaf are actually going to be looking to butt heads on the Shamada. So we're going to have a sniper off, just not quite that traditional Widowmaker. Nope. Dark, I got to talk about it for 5 seconds, and then you swapped off. You're killing me here, man.
Absolutely. Water going to be taking a little bit of early damage. And right now, you know, the cart slowly moving. It's not going to be a very forward hold from the Love Shack. They're going to be taking this high ground. As a matter of fact, so they will not get as many pushes as they might otherwise. In fact, they're going to be giving up the high ground rather quickly. They're going to be rotating into this archway. The damage coming through, or trying to come through all these barriers, not quite allowing for that pass. The Sig Accretion going to be hitting the Sigma on the opposing team as the halt pulls them into place. And Weapon Tech going to be actually getting the first kill here, not a DPS. Dark perhaps going a little bit too deep into enemy lines or exposing themselves just a bit too much outside of that Orisa shield. Ends up taking down Water as the uppercut comes in. You might expect that to be an easy shot for a Hanzo of as high a caliber as we're seeing here. And that being said, it looks like the defense...
Yeah, not Critical Mass. They are going to be pulling back to regroup. Ball of Steve is coming up to this coalescence, but Johnny K is actually going to get there first, so there is going to be that much more sustainability on the side of Love Shack Gaming, so they should be winning this fight out unless not Critical Mass can manage to get this Moira out of the fight early, but it's going to be so hard with Johnny K playing from the back, making sure that they don't get picked. But that's Water just coming straight into the front line.
Yeah, right now it's looking kind of like a stalemate until one of the DPS on the attacking team just makes something happen, whether that be their own death or somebody else's. And right now, Donnie K proving that exact point. Dark getting taken down. Water then taking down Donnie K, meaning the Moira no longer in effect. Trade's going a little bit back and forth right now. It seems like a checkerboard pattern in the kill feed right now, but the Spirit Dragon is coming in from Enzaf, taking down 2, and with that, the defense continues to hold.
Not Critical Mass, they had their backs against a wall quite literally, so Enzaf seizes the opportunity to send a dragon through, so they won't have that one. However, if you're Love Shack Gaming, you don't really care. Dragon is one of those that builds up so quickly if you can get those shields down, and not only that, but you're gonna have the Sigma Flux and Supercharger, the Supercharger being put down immediately as soon as not Critical Mass engaged.
Dark tries to teleport into the backlines, gets hit by an Accretion Rock and cleaned up in a quick fashion. Xerxes God doing some excellent work on this Sigma, seeming to get some real cleanup going here. Donnie K getting the kill to follow up as well. It will just be Black Knight to get staggered on that Sigma.
Xerxes is definitely one of those with that we can talk about for that MVP poll. These Sigmas have been really clutch today. The shields, the fluxes, they've been beautiful. Ashes Bay, though, is the one that I'm currently watching because that Blizzard is up and available, so it's going to be up to Bowline to drop the beat when the freeze comes through. But Black Knight's definitely going to be looking to open things up with the Sigma Flux. It's going to let his team go aggressively. You need to open things up before the Blizzard hits.
Yeah, and we're seeing Water dive in, trying to get those kills into the backline. In fact, is going to be claiming Weapon Tech. The Blizzard coming in, but not landing too many kills as there's not the damage to follow up at this point. And with that Water going on a tear a little bit here, the May going to be trying to do their best to stall out, but it's going to be continued progress for the offensive Critical Mass.
Yeah, and now if you're not Critical Mass, you can go forward. You've got Superchargers, you're coming up to Coalescence, you've got the Meteor Strike in case Water gets into a spot of trouble. You're gonna have ultimates to make sure that this contest just cannot come through from Love Shack Gaming. And please, you've got 30 seconds left, you have to start throwing them in.
Yeah, absolutely. The Meteor Strike going to be coming in from water just to help put a little bit more damage right onto the cart. And the Spirit Dragon's coming in, doing the damage that was necessary on the water, but it will just be the Ori as well as the Mei and Hanzo left on point. The Ori going to be dropping, meaning it's just the DPS left standing. As Ash's Bay falls, the Lucio coming in trying to save the day, but it's not going to quite happen. Devtron falling as the point gets captured.
Oh, but it's close. If that dragon had been just a little bit closer to the payload, then we could be looking at a completely different result. But now Dark, he's got this Death Blossom up. He's teleported onto the high ground, and Devtron does not have the Sign Barrier, just as Donny K does not have this Coalescence. So this Reaper, he's creeping. He knows that these Love Shack Gaming, they're ripe for the taking, but he is actually found out. They do know that he's around about there somewhere, because we did see Enzaf launching a couple of Panzer arrows down. Doesn't matter, he's still going to be looking for that drop down.
Yeah, Dark going for that drop down, getting 3 with the Death Blossom, and the 4th off the back of those Hellfire shotguns. And really the Hanzo up on point, ready to take down that Reaper as soon as he teleports. Not actually able to find him. Enzap dueling out with this Reaper right now, and the Reaper wins.
Love Shack Gaming, for knowing that there's a Reaper waiting to drop onto their heads with a Death Blossom and 2 shotguns, they play surprisingly into his hands. They play right underneath the perfect drop-down position, and it just allows for all of them to be picked off. Silver lining, they all get picked off at the same time, so they'll all be able to come in with weapon tech, managing to bolster the attack. Great lining, you don't have anything other than a Sign Barrier to deal with that flux.
Yeah, the Sound Barrier going to be coming in from Devtron right now, and ends up getting the first kill of the fight. It's going to be onto water. That Doomfist no longer able to do that first damage. And now the Coalescence coming in, but Baller Steve gets hit by a rock, meaning that they are knocked out of that accretion. And right now, kills not going in favor of not critical mass. And they need to make something happen or pull back. Weapon tech going to be dropping, but it might not be enough, especially as Dark falls. It is just a Sig and a Moira left on point. Now it's just a Moira. Now it's nobody. That's the end of that push.
But that push, lasting as long as it did, allowed for Ash's Bay to charge up the Blizzard. And Baller Steve was going just a little bit heavy on the DPS, not really healing the team because they died around him, means that the Coalescence hasn't been built up as steadily as it could have been, so no support ultimates on the side of not critical mass to dealing with this Blizzard, which means Ash's Bay, they can just set this up perfectly, and that pull from Weapon Tech X is definitely going to be making sure that they all get halted into it.
Yeah, and Dark creeping around trying to go through Bank to plug in right into the flank of this team. But in the meantime, Water gets taken down by Xerxes God. You can't have this Reaper taking this long to get these rotations in. And the Sigma gets frozen by that Blizzard from Ash's Bay. And the Reaper in the backline, despite getting the kill onto Enzap, is just a moment too late, dropping this Death Blossom, but the Sigma grasp there to heal themselves up. Weapon Tech can't be saved, however. The Sound Barrier coming in now from the Lucio. Of the defensive side, it's just the Reaper Poop Dollar getting taken out. And with this, Overtime going to start to take down Water, though, able to claim it back, as is Black Knight on this Hammond play. But against a Mei, Hammond is always a dangerous gambit. The Halt coming in, or the Grab Flex coming in, Black Knight getting frozen as Bowline gets taken down. Right now it is a battle of the staggers, it seems, and no team are really coming out too far ahead. Water claiming the necessary kills that might be required, but the Storm Dragon's taking them down mid-charge, and with that, it's going to be a hold by Love Shack.
Oh, Baller Steve died with the Coalescence coming online as the corpse fell onto the ground. Oh, that's a tough one. That could definitely have lengthened that overtime, but sadly it is not to be, so they won't be able to pick up point B. They will, however, be able to turn their side of the coin to defense. So what we're going to be seeing, no doubt, going to be a little bit of perhaps their own medicine, maybe a Bastion gonna be up on that high ground. We can hope so often. we like to see it, we hate to play against it, but it's always one that we can talk about for days on end.
Yeah, certainly that Bastion is pretty much caster fodder for just discussions and chatting and banter, but the banter needs to end in about 2 seconds because we're going to see who's coming onto the field, and it looks like out of the gate, in fact, it's going to be Enzap on that Bastion.
Ash's Bay as well, picking up this mantle off the Pharaoh once more, gonna be looking for nice little bit of damage over the head, but no, gonna be going for the make, so it's going to be a triple sail pirate ship. 2 shields and a Mei wall to call upon if you feel the need. So not critical mass. They're going to be having to chunk down so much if they want to be able to break through to the center that is going to be Enzaf. And with just a Mei and a Reaper, you're not really looking at much shield break on your side. This could be painful.
Yeah, the best they can do is get water to raise up that bastion and then get a halt by Pooptaller off the cart, but that requires some good team coordination, and they may not even be expecting it, but it looks like the offensive team going to be switching off of that bastion, not going to be operating for it. Enzaf switching onto the Reaper instead, and immediately the battle goes underway. Both Mays trying to go at it, just catch anybody out they can. Not going to be so successful quite in that yet, and the cart already getting fought for pretty aggressively. Black Knight getting the first kill onto Donnie K, meaning that Moira not going to be building up as much ult charge. Ashes Bay going to be the next to fall. It's going to really be on the side of LoveShack to either turn it away, turn it around rather, or get the kills and retreat. Looks like it's not going to happen though, as Xerxes God claims some lives, and this fight continues to keep going on. It looks like the side of LoveShack doesn't want to quite retreat yet.
Yeah, Weapon Tech has actually just barricaded themselves in Ashes Bay in the beginning of that spawn spot with an Arista shield, but no. And all of that long drone fight has allowed Baller Steve to build up Coalescence, whereas Donny K hasn't even hit the 70% marker yet, which means not critical mass, they can pull back, but they can pop Coalescence as soon as the support begins.
That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to take down Xerxes God with the help of some of their other support players. The Mei not going to be saved though. Baller Steve focusing down Weapons Tech at the cost of their own DPS. Enzaf getting some kills as well. And DeLucio getting Mei walled off. That is crucial. They might lose him here. Bowline actually going to be staying in, teaching Ashes Bay that you don't mess with a Lucio sometimes. And Enzaf trying to pry some damage onto that cart with the Reaper, not going to quite be successful with it. And now we're seeing the Sigma barricaded into the building as the rest of their team make a way to the cart. And the cart has not made a lot of progress for being 2 minutes and 30 seconds in so far.
It hasn't even fully passed this first corner, and now not critical mass. They've got the Sign Barrier to deal with the Sigma Flux, which is coming up. The Coalescence is not even really going to herald much of a response. They're just going to pull back, play a little bit more defensively.
Yeah, and the Reaper Death Blossom going to be coming in. Xerxes God gets taken down by the shots in the back from Dark, followed quickly by Weapon Tech, so they will not be in bad company. A lot of ults online, and still, it doesn't look like these disengagements want to happen, Moxie.
Well, if you are LoveShack Gaming, you've got two positives that you can look at. You've managed to pull that Sign Bar from Bowline, and you're going to have ults that allow you to go aggressively that wouldn't have found the value that they would have if that Sign Bar was still available. On the other hand, you are going to have to initiate because your enemy likewise has ultimates of their own.
Yeah, and we're going to see those initiations come through exactly in that fashion. The Blizzard coming in, both the tanks getting frozen. You got to anticipate that they might be dropping here. But no, the kill's actually going to be going in favor of the offensive team. LoveShack going to be claiming some kills. Devtron putting on their carry pants in this situation. The grab Flux coming out just for the Ori, but the Ori fortifies, making sure that no damage comes in. A little bit questionable coming through there from Xerxes, but they continue to fight. They continue to push forward as the cart continues to look better and better for moving ahead. And it's just going to be this Ori which will be cleaned up in quick order.
But it's too much. You shouldn't have put the Sigma Flux in. You were right, Sir Wolfram. That was absolutely unnecessary. Sigma Flux could have guaranteed you the next fight win because Bowline doesn't have this, the Sign Bar. Baller Steve doesn't have the Coalescence. And Water doesn't have this Blizzard to allow the team to put in defensively to dissuade all of LoveShack Gaming from leaping in the people on there. And now if you are, though, you're going to have the Sign Barrier, the Superchargers, you're going to have the Death Blossom, so you have ultimates, you should win this.
Yeah, and the Supercharger is going to be used to initiate rather early by the defensive team, and it's going to be cleaned up by Enzaf, and already the kill's going in so quick as a whip, in fact, for LoveShack, and the Mei and Moira getting pushed back farther and farther. Donnie K going to be cleaning up with that Moira in the traditional DPS Moira sense.
And Baller Steve again ties with the Coalescence coming just online. That would have changed things up completely for the team once more, but no, if you're Moira, you do have to get those Coalescences up so quickly in these scenarios. Devtron, though, is going to have the Sign Barrier up, which means that the team is going to be able to have just a little bit of HP to fall back in on, because you are having Dark approaching this Death Blossom, but ends up looking on the top, going to make it so hard for that one to be set up.
It really will. We know that those Reapers like to play on that high ground, so they can just drop down, hit somebody in the head with a bunch of shotguns, and then claim a victory for the team fight. Not going to quite be the case here.
Well, he's going to be spotted out, but he is giving his team information, so Ashes Bay knows exactly where Not Critical Mass is, which means that they know exactly where to drop that Blizzard.
Yeah, absolutely. Dark has this Death Blossom. The Sound Barrier and Blizzard going to both be going in. No freezes coming in from the Blizzard. but it will be separating the defensive team, meaning that the kills can come through and flow like water. And Zach going to be doing a lot of work with these Reapers, shoving the shotguns where they need to go. And this Moira on the high ground, not able to do as much healing as you might like, trying to stall out for a moment. And a moment it will be.
It's literally just going to be all of 3 seconds before that Moira is sent packing. But Dark now has this Death Blossom. It can turn things around because there are no support ultimates currently up. They have to get in quick because that Coalescence does build up lickety split, which means that Death Blossom has to be the opener.
Absolutely, and the Sigma going to be lifted up by the grab flux, but the answer coming in response by the fashion of a sound barrier. Baller Steve taking out Donnie K. That is crucial. Donnie K doesn't have the opportunity to build up Coalescence for the next fight, and the kills going so much in favor of the defense here. We might be seeing some very close Dorado games today, Mox.
I mean, doesn't build up that Coalescence, doesn't even get the opportunity to use it, immediately taken out as soon as you hear the gale. So NSAF is now going to have this Death Blossom, and it is going to be pretty much what LoveShack Gaming are going to be holding on to this hope with. Yes, Weapon Tech is going to have the supercharges, but you have to remember they've been taken out of the fight so quickly, and you need these kills to come in fast. They have to be an absolute flash flood. If not, Critical Mass are going to not be able to react because they have so many ultimates in their pocket. That's the only way you're getting this payload to point B.
Yeah, Not Critical Mass has got to be feeling pretty comfortable right now. They're going to initiate with the Sigma Grab Flux, as well as the Meteor Strike is going to take down Devtron. Devtron not going to have that speed or that healing to get onto point, and with this, they claim a couple of kills back. It looks like they might be gaining the reinforcements they need to get onto cart. That may have been a slight leading of the chin in this situation. And with characters dropping, it's not looking great for the defensive team. They need to get somebody onto cart right now. They have no other options.
Well, that is going to be a Reaper teleporting and a Reaper instantly deleted. The Doomfist does manage to touch those, so Not Critical Mass haven't given up just yet.
Although they will not be able to hold themselves steady as LoveShack continues to carry the cart all the way through. They're going to take it 3-0 up in the lead.
I mean, I like to say it, overconfidence is the 7th enemy in Overwatch, and that is exactly what happens for Not Critical Mass. They take their eye off that payload, they go a little bit too aggressively, think that they've got many ultimates in the game, that they should instantly be winning that fight, and it sadly doesn't work like that. If everyone could just win by pressing Q at the same time, well, my SL would be a lot higher.
Yeah, it certainly would. And as we come off of that very intense game at Dorado, we're going to be taking it down to Eichenwald, which, as we were talking about last cast, that means we have a decent chance, I'd say, for some Reinhardt play.
I'm hoping for it.
Yes.
We've seen it briefly in all of the fragmented seconds that we've got to see in Stagger Bushes. We haven't been able to see the build up to the Shatter. There is nothing quite like watching two Reinhardts who both have Shatter up, trying to big brain the other one into dropping the shield, and then if that fails, counter shattering. It's so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna be seeing, hopefully, some beautiful plays no matter if the tank line up. And speaking of beautiful, want to give a beautiful thanks to Lego Law for the tier 1 sub as of 2 months, or for 2 months. Much thanks, my friend. We love seeing it. And as a reminder, if you like what we're doing here, be sure to give us a follow, give us a sub, or just join the Discord if you want to stay in tune with all of the Overwatch All-Stars trials. That being said, we are about to hop into our final game between LoveShack and Not Critical Mass as soon as we get these map sides decided.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. We've seen the Bastion defense the last time we visited Eichenwald. Are we going to be in for the second Bastion defense on Eichenwald of the night? I'm really hoping yes. It's one of those where you have to have that coordination, the ultimates to back it up, to just jump onto the bunker and crack it down the middle.
Yeah, it's exciting. Eichenwald, I feel like there's a lot of versatility here. It's not one of those maps where you're just absolutely going to be seeing the same thing, right? Like, there's a very good chance we could see Ori, Sig. There's a good chance we could see Rhine. And then, Pharah is always an option. Bastion is an option. The Reaper Doomfist, of course, that's the meta. As much as it goes in this current Overwatch patch. But I think that the options we're flushed with options right now.
They're somewhat limitless. Eichenwald is one of those where everyone has a favorite composition to run. We see teams come in with these very specifically catered Eichenwald specifics. You go for get past that first chokehold. It was known as one of the worst chokeholds in all of Overwatch until Paris came along. The map that we shall not talk about, because thankfully it's not in the map pool at the moment, or indeed in the competitive map pool. Blizzard have learned from their mistakes.
Celebration.
And then we see teams, after they get point A, swap up their compositions entirely because they know that point B and C are a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, that is generally, I think, the agreed upon case. As well, we are just waiting for these teams to get readied. We did have some substitutions coming in. It looks like Devtron going to be taken out for Radio. Wisp going to be coming in for Ash is Bay. So be sure to keep eyes on that. Teams have not changed sides. It's still going to be the side of Love Shack in the blue and not Critical Mass in the red.
See, I'm really looking forward to this because subs, every time I see a team sub someone out, I'm like, oh, okay, they have a very specific plan in mind for this very specific map, which says to me that we're going to be seeing something from these teams that we haven't seen just yet.
Yeah, it is something to look forward to, in my opinion. We have 15 seconds before those pop off. Make sure that while you folks are watching this game, you have those last-minute MVP votes, so get them down in the chat. Let us know what you think is popping off so we can announce it at the end of this cast. But with that being said, let's see what the rosters come up with.
Well, we'll be finding out in exactly now, and Wisp on this Bastion. Our wishes have been granted. Dark on this Genji, though. If they actually run with this, and I highly doubt that they will, Genji on Eichenwald, unless you're running fully fledged dive, just is not going to find the value. Probably just going to be waiting around for water to lob a sonic arrow in. Nope, not even going to be waiting for the arrow to leave the bowstring, just going to straight off switch to Reaper. These guys, these DPS, they like to bait me, Wolfram. I feel abused.
I mean, the DPS archetype is one of very abusive nature. No disrespect to DPS mains out there, it's just a stereotype. But that being said, we're actually not even going to be seeing the Hanzo sonar arrow. It's going to be water swapping onto the Mei. You know, water, a very important component of ice. It just makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's hope that they're not freezing wherever they're playing. So they're going to be looking to just wall in. They're probably going to be expecting this Bastion as well, trying to take away all of the damage. But they're just going to go around, so a little bit of a rotation here, a little bit of wraparound rush this Bastion bunker.
Yeah, they're going to try to dislocate this Bastion, get the rotations in, get that figured out. But they're taking it a little bit slow right now. They're just getting a little bit of poke in with the Sigma, trying to wear down those shields as much as possible.
It's too slow though. Ends up 6% from that first barrage. They've allowed the fire to blow it up.
Yeah, and Baller Steve going to be popping that window to try to get that increased healing, but it's not going to be enough. As we see the Immortality Field come out from Baller Steve, Enzaf continues to get these kills. Dark getting taken down, as well as the Sigma played by Black Knight. So right now it is not looking like this is going to be one for the offensive team quite yet. They might need to reconsider their options.
Yeah, and at the moment they're just scattered around, and the two supports are just being bullied at the moment. That poor Lucio. And so all that Not Critical Mass really did in that push was charge Love Shack's ults. Because you've got this Farah Barrage just ready and waiting to go, and so you're going to have to be so careful if you're Not Critical Mass. Dark swapping onto the McCree. Perfect play. They have to take the Farah out of the picture either before that barrage starts or during it. Otherwise, this push is already back to spawn.
That's very true. And already the Farah trying to do a little bit of harassment, trying to get in that damage. And wrapping around this inside, they want to try to avoid Enzaf's damage as much as possible. But they're still taking a bunch of rockets inside. They're going to be taking a bunch of bullets. They are being really hesitant about making this curve, but it's only buying time off of their own clock. The rocket barrage going to be coming in. And with that, a lot of damage being given to Black Knight in the form of shielding, but it's not going to be enough. They can't save the rest of their team with that shielding. It's just going to be the Sigma and the McCree, the last ones to fall.
One ultimate, and Enzaf even survived the entire duration, even though Dark was on the McCree. This should not be happening. If Afara isn't that small of a corridor and Dark going onto the Bastion, it's going to be a shield war. It's just going to be Dark setting up onto the ground, and all of Not Critical Mass trying to keep the Bastion alive, while all of Love Shack Gaming try to keep Wisp alive. But here's the bad news if you're Not Critical Mass. Wisp has an ultimate on his side, and it's called Amplification Matrix.
Yeah, it's very true. Both teams going to be using those Baptiste windows. Dark going to be taken down, proving that Wisp is, as expected, the superior Bastion in this instance. But Wisp continuing to get those kills. Water going to be taking a jump off the edge. Not sure if intentional or not, but Poop Dollar going to be trying to get away, and in fact, they will.
I mean, that's got a moat on that cliff, right? Water's just becoming one with the other Water. It's a family reunion that we've all been waiting for. But Water is gonna have this blizzard, so you are gonna have to drop it perfectly into this Bastion bunker. And unfortunately, Xerxes, your god, is going to know that this is a play and is going to be ready and willing to eat this blizzard.
Yeah, but a very good opening by Dark to get Enzaf, though they don't camp the body. Radio Face able to get that res, meaning that Pharah going to be back into play. All the work that Dark did kind of out of the picture in this instance. The Supercharger coming down for Poop Dollar. They might be able to get some damage going here, but both sides going to be dropping that Supercharger as a matter of fact. And the kills continue to go through for the defensive side in what feels like a broken record of a cast.
It's just this bunker, it's so strong, and Water kept a hold of the Blizzard all the way through, and Dark swapping onto the Bastion and then onto the McCree once more has just meant that the Deadeye has just been reset. And Deadeye would have opened things up for you because it would have taken the pharmacy off the table completely straight out of the gate. And you want to talk about off the table? Well, that's your Batista already gone, not Critical Mass, not looking very good.
Yeah, they're certainly not looking very good. The Blizzard is the only opportunity that they're going to have, especially as Black Knight gets taken down by the Rocket Barrage. Dark claiming Enzaf. This is a very low kill game, and it is looking so good for the side of Love Shack. The cleanup coming in. Bowline trying to come back with something, but not going to quite be successful. It's just going to be the Moira who hesitates to get the point. Baller Steve gets cleaned up before they even get the opportunity. No ticks on the board, meaning that Love Shack in a very good spot.
And we talked about this just a little bit earlier before, not this series, but the last series began. Sombra feels very much neglected in this current meta, but she is one of those immediate counters to a bunker. They were all grouped up, they were all clumped up. That was just perfect for an EMP. And not Critical Mass, they just don't go for it. I don't know whether teams are hesitant to run the Sombra because until you manage to build up the EMP, going into those bunkers can be very hard. You get spotted out pretty quickly, forced to translocate out, can build the enemy's ultimates. But that EMP, it's such a heel turn of an ultimate. It can just swing things absolutely into your favor of that one Q.
It really can, and not to mention it will also disable the immortality fields, meaning that if that ability has already been used, it still kind of doesn't matter.
And the res as well. If you manage to get the Bastion out of the fight, then you have to worry, yes, about the immortality field and all about the shields, but the res as well. And an EMP just cancels all of that, not just the ultimates. Double shielding just whisked straight off. But no, they stick, and it looks as if it's going to be. I'm not falling for it. I refuse. I refuse to say that Wisp is on the Widow and Enzef is on the Genji, because they're gonna be swapping to the Doomfist and they're gonna be swapping to the Reaper, and I'm just gonna look silly.
Yeah, unless we're seeing some extreme overconfidence, or some extreme confidence, I'll say, for the Love Shack, they most likely will not be playing these characters. In fact, they're just jumping around, having a good old time on the DPS swaps. And...
yeah, this is the five supports one Reinhardt composition if ever I've seen one. But they're actually sticking with it. So they're putting their eggs into the basket of the Nano Blade. So Donny K is going to be looking to get that Nano online as quickly as possible. Likewise, Enzaf going to be looking to reflect a little bit of a Duck's damage in his face.
Yeah, and Enzaf going right into the back of the team, already just kind of having them spotted out, building up a little bit of that Dragon Blade as quick as possible. Just being a pest in the absolute side. Water taking themselves out, however, Xerxes God perhaps going to be providing them that angle. And this Genji Widow might actually work out for the side of Love Shack. They continue to take down the tanks with that Widow. Of all the characters, that's not the one you expect to see. Somebody needs to get on the point. Nobody will. As that happens, Love Shack going to be claiming it. 4-0.
That was the zaniest point AI control take I've ever seen. That was such a horrible, filthy play from Love Shack Gaming. You have the Genji be that annoyance that you see so many Lucios do. And if they try to go for the Genji, they've turned away, they've exposed their back to the Widowmaker, who's just gonna take their head clean off.
Yeah, it was quite the showing from a Love Shack. They take it with the full meterage, they take the full 15, meaning that they're pretty much shoo-in, I believe, for that first place spot, if my math is once again correct.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be holding a couple of points ahead of Capybara. Currently, if you do remember that they were already that 1 point ahead and taking all of these, well, it's going to be up to whether Capybara are able to wash out their match quite as much as today's was. We did have a pretty good fights throughout, but Love Shack Gaming do emerge victorious ahead of that one. And I think we're actually going to be hearing from a couple of them, but before we do, so often, gotta ask, MVP, who would you vote?
Man, there were a lot that I really liked, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Xerxes. Xerxes was doing pretty well on that Sigma, I think, for a large portion of it. I noticed that they were playing with their Pharah even to a degree, to a pretty proficient degree. When the Pharah would go up, and they knew that the Pharah might be taking some unnecessary damage, they'd throw a shield up in the upward angles just so she could use slight cover behind that. I really like those kinds of strategies. So really excited to see it. What do you say, Mox?
I agree wholeheartedly. Like those shield placements, they were not quite clutch, but they were definitely a helping hand in enabling the team to go as aggressively as they did. It's not often that you see the Pharah on Eichenwald A manage to get any value other than really hiding behind that massive tower just spiraling up from the ground that provides so much protection, but those shields allowed for them to go so aggressively, to build up barrage as quickly as they did, to get it off in such small closed off corridors. All plays that should not have been happening, but wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those Sigma shields.
Yeah, certainly. And as we talk here, we're going to be having somebody added into the chat. It's going to be Aries question mark, also known as Ash is Bay. How are you doing, my friend?
Yes, sir. I am doing well. Pretty happy right now.
I would certainly imagine so. Kind of what was going through your team throughout the course of these 4 maps? Were you guys feeling pretty confident, or were you being a little more cautious? What was your general mood as the team?
Well, entering, we're always pretty confident. Like me specifically, I get like super nervous, but I always know like my team will have my back because we keep comms going, we keep it going, and once we get rolling, there's like nothing that's really gonna stop us. So confidence all the way.
Absolutely, I think it kind of shows here. Now I wanna ask a little bit about the Eichenwald point. I don't believe you were on that one. I believe
No,
that
it's
was
not.
Yeah. So were you kind of tuned into what your team's game plan is for Eichenwald, or
Yeah. So we always have the plan to do the Bastion Pharmacy,
Mhm.
and the Pharahs either be me or Inzef, and today we did Inzef, and obviously it went very well. So I'm very happy about that. But we usually have a good plan and have good rotations, and that's a map we're pretty confident on also.
Now, were you aware of the Genji Widow coming out?
Okay, so I knew they were gonna do Genji because a lot of times we try to farm Nanoblade because Inzef loves his Nanoblade, but I wasn't sure if he was gonna play Widow. But being Cam or Wisp as he's called in game, his Widow's really pug, so I'm proud they went with that.
I mean, it certainly seemed to claim heads in that situation. Now, if my memory serves, and it very well may not because I have a bad one, you were playing the Mei a lot of the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you say that Mei is one of your more favorite characters, or do you just play it because it's a little bit more meta relevant?
It's hard to say. I get really bored with her after a while, but I will say she's definitely in my top 3 characters. And
Okay.
I'm practicing her a lot, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely shows. We're seeing some pretty good plays come through here. We saw a lot of teleporters, particularly on the first 2 maps with the sim combos coming in.
Yep.
What was the mindset behind those?
Well, first we wanted to have an idea of what they were gonna do, and we figured they do the standard thing. So our shot caller, when we were playing our Mei, which was our Lucio, was calling where we were gonna TP, and we just went there and followed through with the plan. Just play around Bill.
It's fantastic. And do you guys use that kind of in the mindset of having a shield break comp, or is it just to get to point faster, or what's really the considerations you put in when you pick those compositions?
The big idea is to have point control, which is why we also put the Mei, so we can wall off the Bastion damage and any other incoming damage. And once we get the sim charged up, then we can rush him and kill whatever touches.
Sounds like a pretty good plan to me. Moxie, do you have any more questions for our friend in chat here?
Well, we're having a pretty major patch coming through, I do believe, Tuesday. And that's definitely going to affect what teams play. Do you think you're going to stick with this Orisa Sigma as your tank lineup and the Mei Reaper / Doom Reaper and Pharah now as well as your DPS lineup? Or do you think that come Tuesday, the entire thing is going to go out the door and something is going to replace it?
I think it's gonna be more situational. I believe that Sigma and Orisa still be like the best pick, but I will say that Orisa Ryan will be better. And for DPS, Mei is always good because she's Mei. She has her walls and she can freeze stuff. And then supports are gonna change pretty drastically. I think Zenyatta and Baptiste will be the best picks.
Very interesting. Look forward to seeing that. I gotta admit.
Yep, me too.
I mean, I'm a support main, so I'm just happy that I get to play something other than Moira now.
Yeah, Nail Jail no more in fact. Now, well, I guess we're kind of wrapping up our questions here, Aries question mark. Is there anybody you'd like to kind of give a special little shout out to while we got you here on stream?
It's hard for me because I want to give a shout out to literally everyone, but I really want to say thank you to Captain Crunch. He's the one who puts together our scrims and everything, and he really he helps out with getting us in order. And even when we get kind of like stressed and we all start getting tilted, a lot of times he's the guy that kind of brings us down before the game.
Well, fantastic. I love showing support to the support staff, so much appreciated, I'm sure, from the captain there. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and thank you, Aries question mark, for coming in and answering a few questions with us and just hanging out.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. And with that, Mox, I believe we are ready to announce the MVP. Are you ready?
Oh, definitely. Are we right? Have the chat agreed, or have they gone against us?
It doesn't look like they are of the same opinions as us, as it looks like the chat has nominated Water as MVP for this time around. And, you know, overall, I can't say it's a bad pick. I can't say it's the worst pick, perhaps. But that being said, it looks like we are about ready to wrap up. Once again, congratulations, Water, as well. Congratulations to Love Shack for coming out the 4-0 victor in this instance. And Moxie, do you want to go ahead and do the honors of signing us off?
Well, I have been your colorcaster, Got Moxie. You can find me on Twitter at Got Moxie, that's with 2 T's. And my wonderful companion for today has been Sir Waltham. Sir Waltham, where can we stalk you quite professionally?
You can professionally stalk me or personally stalk me. I have no preference. At Sir Waltham Gaming on Twitter or Sir Waltham on Twitch.
Well, there you go. Come say hello, folks. We promise we don't bite. And to all of you at home, have a wonderful night.